What's that?
Can you go stand back over where you work for me, sir?
There's something wrong with being here?
Yes, sir, there is. I don't want you to be in direct line with that vehicle. I'd like for you to go back to where you were standing. You can continue filming all you'd like, but I don't.
Staying here, or am I free to go?
You're free to go, man. I'm here. I came all the way from Canyon Lake to talk to you.
We need to identify him now.
Okay.
Have you ever witnessed police officers overstepping their authority and violating someone's rights? What if you were the one being harassed for doing something completely legal? This situation recently played out between several deputies, their supervisor, and a citizen who was filming them while carrying out a traffic stop.
Back over here for me, all right?
What's that?
Can you go stand back over where you work for me, sir?
There's something wrong with being here?
Yes, sir, there is.
What's
I don't want you to be in direct line with that vehicle. I'd like for you to go back to where you were standing. You can continue filming all you'd like, but I don't want you right here.
Am I interfering?
Well, technically now you're starting to pose into somebody else's private property with your videoing. Yes, sir. Hey, did they give you permission to film inside their truck?
I don't need permission out in public.
In somebody's vehicle?
I don't need permission out in public.
No, not to film us, you're correct. But to film inside somebody's vehicle, that's an extension of their house, and that is a private place. So you do need somebody's permission to film inside their vehicle.
But is that a crime?
The incident begins when Philip Turner, a seasoned First Amendment auditor, is legally filming a traffic stop from a public place. However, the deputies hastily accuse Philip of illegally filming inside a vehicle and trespassing on private property. Despite Philip's calm explanations about his constitutional rights, the deputies aggressively push for Philip's identification as a so-called witness to a fabricated crime. The deputies...
Do you have your information? Your driver's license?
What's that?
Do you have your driver's license or name, date, of birth?
For what?
Because now you're a witness to this crime that we're doing.
What crime is that?
The crime that we got these people in the back of these cars for.
I don't know what crime they committed.
You don't have to know. Okay, they broke the law. They're in possession of narcotics. That's why they're in the back of our cars. So, do you have your name and date of birth?
No.
Or a driver's license?
No.
So you're going to refuse to be listed as a witness since you sat here and videotaped the entire scene?
If you need a copy of the video, I can give you a copy of the video.
Well, yeah, but we're also going to need to identify you in our report that you were here videoing, so when we come to get a copy of that video, we can get that.
All right, let me talk to your supervisor.
He said that he won't want to give us his name or date of birth until he talks to our supervisor. So.
And you're probably going to end up going to jail because right now you're witnessing a crime.
I have to talk to a supervisor. He's here, so why can't I speak with him?
Because you're refusing to give your information, you'll be going to jail for failure to identify as you're a witness to a crime.
So I need to give you my ID to speak to your supervisor? Is that what you're telling me?
No.
Okay, I need to speak to your supervisor.
Why do you need to speak to the supervisor?
Because I requested to speak to
What
him.
warrants that?
Because I requested to speak to him, and he's here.
Okay. So what's your point?
He's here. I need to speak with him.
You've got no part of the scene, right? But you want to speak to our supervisor.
You can speak to him.
Okay.
Yeah, but you'll be in handcuffs and it'll be at the jail. Is that what you want to do?
I need to speak to your supervisor.
Is that what you want to do?
I need to speak to your supervisor.
What aren't you understanding? You put yourself in this situation right here. You see that? You're on private property.
Private
right now.
or public?
You're on private property right now.
Okay, what does that have to do with anything?
Do you have permission to be here?
Did the owner trespass me?
Well, this guy...
He doesn't want you here.
This guy actually did call and tell us he wanted you to leave.
The deputies continue to escalate the situation with false claims that Philip must identify himself or face arrest. Although Philip asks multiple times to speak to their supervisor, his requests are repeatedly denied, and the deputies persist with threats of jail time.
But this is what I do. I film what public officials do on public property. I'm a journalist. I gather content for stories.
That's cool.
But this officer here was telling me that I had to move back over there. I couldn't stand over there. And I was asking him why. He told me that I wasn't allowed to film inside the vehicle here. But
I mean, that's their privacy too. We got to get their consent to go in, so what makes it any different for you?
well, that's to go in.
Yeah.
But I'm not going in. I'm just observing. That's kind of like equivalent to this is his property, but I can't film it because it's on his property.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, and it's not against the law.
Okay.
So he needs to get educated on that because that's clearly not the case. Okay. Now, am I currently being detained here, or am I free to go?
You're free to go, man. I'm here. I came all the way from Canyon Lake to talk to you.
We need to identify him now.
Okay. You need to identify me?
Yes, sir, I do.
For?
Because you're a witness to a crime and you sat here and recorded the whole crime.
I don't know what crime was committed.
I told you.
I didn't see y'all
And then
pulling
you said that
car.
you still wouldn't identify yourself until you spoke to our sergeant. Now you spoke to the sergeant, so I need to get your name and date of birth so
I can give you a
identify
copy of the vehicle. I can give you a copy of the video.
I don't need a copy of the vehicle.
I can give you a business
I need
card.
your identifying information so I can list
You
you in
just
the
need your
report
ID and
as a witness.
Yeah. You're a witness.
Because right now you're failing to ID as a witness to a crime.
What crime?
Hey, what's your first name, man?
I'll give you my first name. It's Philip.
Philip.
Yes, I'll give you that.
Best case scenario, that female and that male says that we did something against the law. Eight cops against one person, right? So you know who I would want? I would want the guy who's not even involved in this to be my witness. So that's what we're trying to explain to you.
So they need me as a
Because
witness?
you're part of any type of information that anybody that comes. We're gonna have to ID him because he's in our cameras now.
Dean, I already got his business card. He already identified himself.
So he gave his name and date of birth and all that
Yes,
stuff?
I've got it all right
I said
here.
I can go get a business card too. I just said that.
Well, that's fine, but here's the thing. You can't leave until we identify you.
Like I said, I already told you, I'm a journalist. I gather content
Hey,
for
that's
stores.
fine.
That's
fine.
it.
We had no problem with that, man. We just don't like the space.
And that's what I told you earlier. I didn't have a problem with you videotaping.
Now, sorry. Am I free to go or am I being detained?
Until you give your name and then.
Finally, the supervisor, Sergeant Montz, arrives on scene. After an initially rocky conversation where the sergeant supports his deputy's misconduct, Philip asserts his rights and engages in civil discourse about the law. Once Sergeant Montz spends a bit of time speaking with Philip, he soon recognizes the lawful, ethical, and positive nature of Philip's filming.
Face. If I were up in your face, then you would know.
You need anything from him? You good?
I'm good.
Do you want to make the business? Okay. Can you try and identify him for us?
Yeah. Let's go here. I don't like no reason to argue, man. You're not doing anything wrong, and but here's the deal. They got a point there. I mean, your worst case scenario is that your camera would be a part of evidence, but we're not going to go there because I have a camera. I have plenty of cameras going, so I don't need your camera. Now, if something were to happen to where, man, we get into a shooting or something or a fight and somebody gets hurt, then you know what? I'm taking your camera because that's the way. So you got to be careful with that in the future. Okay, when you're doing this,
But on that one, I'll tell you, there was a shooting on 6th Street that happened not too long ago, and I helped aided them catching the shooter.
And I have no problem with that. No. But that's what's called
I
evidence.
understand.
It's not that I want your camera because I want you to stop doing this.
In a critical turning point, Sergeant Montz tells his deputies to stand down, acknowledging that Philip has every right to film the police without intimidation or demands for identification. Montz recognizes that Philip's camera would only help provide necessary evidence if the deputies were accused of wrongdoing. By patiently and calmly advocating for his rights, Philip avoids being unjustly arrested and instead receives an apology from the reasonable sergeant. Meanwhile, the problematic deputies walked away empty-handed, lacking the unlawful identification and camera footage they had aggressively pursued. Ultimately, this interaction displays how knowledge of constitutional rights serves as the best defense against ignorance or abuse of police authority. An informed public, unafraid to have public servants film their public duties, in turn promotes transparency, accountability, and trust in law enforcement. With more auditors and supervisors acting sensibly, like Philip and Sergeant Montz, we can work toward better policing practices that serve both officers and citizens alike.